what would Gear 5 Luffy's moveset look like? So with Gear 5 Luffy and a bunch of others on their way over to Pirate Warriors 4, I decided to do basically an analysis of Luffy's attacks and moves that he's done against specifically Kaido, I guess, because that's mainly like where we see him fight in Onigashima. He does a couple things here and there before he gets to the rooftop, but his main full force is when he's fighting Kaido. This video will contain spoilers for stuff that's like at the end of the fight with Kaido, so if you don't want to know about that type of stuff, then maybe click off the video. But if you're interested to see what the potential moveset for Luffy will look like, stick around. And if you want to see more custom moveset videos, make sure you stick around, subscribe, like the video, and let me know what you want to see. I'm planning on maybe doing a hybrid Kaido / Yamato video as well, if you guys are into it. So let's start with Luffy. So we're going to be basically breaking down this video into two halves. The first half talking about the base form Luffy, because I feel like Gear 5 is obviously going to be an install type of thing, like Gear 4 Boundman and Snake Man was for the normal Luffy that's in the game already. So I figured why not talk about him first, because I feel like he's also going to be interesting, not just Gear 5. Okay, so Luffy versus Kaido was a lot. Like it spanned basically around like 40 to 50 chapters ever since chapter 1000, and there was a lot of stuff that Luffy did. So Luffy's combo game is probably going to be very similar in terms of obviously like aesthetics and stretching and all that stuff. However, I think it's going to be really interesting because they're going to be able to implement the Conqueror's Haki and Ryuo stuff that Luffy learned with Hyogoro and obviously in his fight against Kaido. So while Luffy can initially appear to have a very similar moveset to the other one, I feel like he's still going to play very unique with these Conqueror's Haki infused attacks. They can have maybe a more massive AoE like range of attack, because we might have a thing where Luffy's combo game might have a move where he punches an area, and because he's not touching it, he might just have like a giant shockwave type of thing, kind of similar I guess to Jinbei in a way. So Luffy can have a bunch of different things in his base kit. But the one thing I want to get into is the super attack / ultimate / Gear 4 and all that nonsense, because there's a lot of Gear 4 in this fight as well. So I'm in one of two minds. I feel like Luffy's going to have either 3 installs that he's able to do that he can choose from the ultimates list, or they might like consolidate and implement Gear 4 moves into Luffy's combos and maybe just have them be ultimate attacks instead of having 3 installs on this new Luffy. Here's the thing as well, this new Luffy is obviously going to be a DLC character. I do not believe, unless I could be wrong, I do not believe that this is just going to be a costume change where it also changes his moveset, which is a thing in this game, because if you choose pre-time skip Luffy, you cannot use post-time skip Luffy's attacks. Same thing for all the Straw Hat crew. And in the trailer, they made it specific that he is going to be a brand new character, unless they could have just dropped him like they did with Law. So honestly, I'm of the mind that they're going to consolidate and just move the Gear 4 stuff to make them just ultimates or part of his combos, because in the base Pirate Warriors 4 game, this Luffy in this game, he basically has all the stuff that used to be ultimates in Pirate Warriors 3 and 2 as just part of his base like kit. Stuff like Grizzly Magnum, stuff like Elephant Gatling, Elephant Gun, like he got into Thor Axe, like all of that stuff is now part of his base just fighting and combo moveset, as opposed to being like big flashy cinematic ultimates like they used to be. But that isn't to say that Luffy doesn't have a bunch of attacks that they can use in those things. They have the Gum Gum Hydra. They have the Gum Gum Kong Gatling. You know, the Over Kong Gun, the Kong Rifle, Red Rock, Rock Gatling. They have a ton of moves that Luffy has done against Kaido that they can implement as either specials or super, or, you know, part of the combo. But the way they're advertising this Luffy, I feel like they really want to hone in on the, you know, advancements of Luffy, and I feel like all the rock, you know, Red Rock, Rock Gatling, you know, stuff like that, even the Overcon gun, stuff like that, I feel like they want to make them as ultimates as opposed to just being part of the movesets, but they can also be just part of the movesets as well. Now, does that mean they can't do 3 installs? Absolutely not. They could have 3 installs for Luffy, and you could just have 3 installs and 1 ultimate, right? So I'm not too sure how they're going to handle all of these Gear 4 elements into this Onigashima Luffy, and I feel like they want it to be, you know, they want to start off with a POW, right? It's been 3 years since their last DLC packs and seasons, so I feel like they want to make this very flashy, very insane. We obviously know that Red Rock is going to be one of the specials because we saw that in the trailer. Now, even though we don't know Gear 5 is going to be an install, I feel like we can confidently say that it's going to be like 99% sure that it's going to be an install transformation for Luffy, because That's obviously how the other Luffy operates with Gear 4, Snake Man, and Bound Man. Now, me personally, I don't mind if they actually consolidate the Gear 4 stuff into being Luffy's like combos or just ultimates, because it would at least differentiate this Luffy from the prior Luffy, because then at least you'll have another Luffy that has the Snake Man and Bounce Man type of stuff, while having this Luffy be the, Conqueror's Haki, Ryu Gear 5 type of character. Even though I feel like most people would definitely gravitate towards this Luffy more, but Snake Man and Bounce Man are really fun to use. I really love using Snake Man, especially like when I get to land a Black Mamba attack where it's just like a rain of punches like raining around you. So, who knows? Okay, with base form Luffy cover, let's head into the install with Gear 5. So let's talk about Gear 5 Luffy now. So if Gear 5 Luffy is going to be an install, that means he'll have 3 ultimate slots or 3 special attack slots, because when you transform, there's one button that's dedicated to basically you reverting back to your original form, and then the other 3 are, 3 specials that you can have. Honestly, it's probably going to be really fun to use Gear 5, because it's probably going to look like you're just throwing spaghetti like hands, like, noodles everywhere, because I feel like, as opposed to, how in Gear 4 it's very like sharp the way that his fist moves in his hand, because he's trying to, accelerate and bounce off the air. Luffy in Gear 5 is so loose, like he's just like dangly, his arms are stretching, his like feet are stretchy, he's very like cartoony, like he'll like grab himself and then like lift them up, and then like his from his waist up, he'll just lift that half up to like dodge an attack that Kaido did. So there's a ton of goofy things that this Luffy is that I'm super interested to see how his combo moves that's going to be looking like. So I think it's going to be, obviously Conqueror's Haki infused, stuff along the lines of maybe like Shanks and stuff like that, but with a mixture of like that freedom of like noodle like punches and Haki punches. And they can go really fun, because we have big characters that you can play as in Pirate Warriors 4, like Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard and stuff like that. So they can honestly go pretty crazy. And what I mean by that is they can have Gear 5 Luffy go into his giant form and maybe like make a smoke cloud and do like the jump rope type of thing, and then like that's just gonna be a massive AoE thing, then he pops back down to his normal size. That could be insane. That could be really cool looking. Another move that he could do like as part of combos is not the lightning bolt, that could be a special, but the part where he gets, I believe, flung around, but then he grabs the lightning bolt and then he like twirls around it to like bring himself back. I think that would be like a really cool, another like AoE type of move. So I think that could be implemented as well. The lightning bolt, I feel like, is a big like, a big moment. So I feel like that could be more of a special attack. And then there's this like Gear 5 Gatling kind of thing. He doesn't really, I don't think, name the move. He just kind of does a bunch of punches that hits Kaido. And it looks super weird because he's making Kaido's body into rubber. So like it stretches the body as well, making it look kind of goofy. But I don't know if this would be an ultimate or part of his combo. I feel like this would maybe be part of his combo as well. Another move that you'll probably see in Gear 5 Luffy's moveset is this like windmill punch like that he hits Kaido with. That could be an ultimate, because that move was basically, I believe, the chapter closer, because that was like a really like hard hit. Like it looks goofy, but that one actually really hurt Kaido. And like he hit him right in the face and stretched his face out. So I think this could be a special that'd be really cool. Like one of the lesser specials, like not really, because that's, they have those in this game too, where it's not like, all of them aren't like crazy cinematic. Some of them are like kind of simple, just either like, I think base form Luffy also has like a stamp Gatling, like, or jet stamp Gatling and stuff like that, and like, that's not really a crazy spectacle move, but it's really cool. So I think they could have this be one of the lesser specials. And then obviously the last special that I have in mind, which I feel like all of us is gonna think, is, are we gonna get the Bajrang gun? Now I do hope we get this, because usually the way anime works and games and stuff like that is that companies will get this info from like, the main distributor and stuff like that, like Shueisha and Shonen Jump. They would give these things to the game companies or whatever in advance to potentially make things part of like games or merch and stuff like that, which is why you see all this Gear 5 merch and all that stuff, because it was all planned in advance and they all had this. Plus the form is about a year old now and has appeared outside of Wano as well. So I don't think we'll get stuff from like Egghead and all that, which if we do, it'd be a surprise. But I do think we'll get at a bare minimum the Bajrang gun. And I think the Bajrang gun will be really cool and really powerful, obviously, to like be a final finisher. Not to mention, it also might come out right around the time the fight and this move actually is seen, because Gear 5 gets shown August 6th, which is next week at the time of this recording. And this DLC comes out in September, which by then, 3 to 5 episodes should have at least come out by the time this DLC comes out. Once Luffy goes Gear 5, there isn't really much breaks in terms of like the fight when it comes to the manga. Like, it's pretty much every chapter, I believe, was just a continuation of the fight. It was like 3 to 5 chapters, so we could get like all of Gear 5 animated and done with by the time the first DLC comes out. And lastly, every time one of these Gear 4 installs like powered down, they have the the really cool animation, like they deflate or whatever. And I think we'll probably be getting this really cool moment. I don't think we'll probably get to see it because it's a Muso game. They don't really like close up on you when you power down. But I think if you choose to power down, and I hope they add this as a little, like attention to detail where you power down and it makes Luffy look like this. So when you usually transform in this game, you kind of switch your typing. Like Luffy would go to power to Sky type in terms of Gear 4 Bounce Man, or I believe Speed type for Snake Man. I don't think Luffy will change from a power type. I think Luffy will either be power or speed type. Now Luffy does fight a lot, quote unquote, in the sky, but I don't think his movements really elicit a sky type of character, because he doesn't really fly or like snap his feet like the way he does in Bounce Man or even Snake Man. The only way I can see them maybe making Luffy's Gear 5 form a sky type is because when he was fighting Kaido hit him with a blast breath, and then to make his way back to Onigashima, Luffy did like a cartoonish like Waiata, and then he ran and like he left a flame trail in the sky. So maybe that could be a reason why they make him a sky type and have him like fly around leaving fire trails everywhere. But we'll see if they do that. I feel like the way he moves is just so wacky and crazy that he might either remain a power type and just be overwhelmingly strong, which is what I more so lean towards, because in this fight with Kaido he feels very strong and just doing a lot of haymakers and just a bunch of big attacks. He could also be a speed type because obviously he is fast. He's not any slouch when it comes to speed either. But I don't really see him speed, like dodge a lot of attacks in that form. I feel like he tries to, but Kaido's also really powerful and he just, I feel like, tanks a lot of hits. Like in Gear 5, he takes a lot of hits from Kaido. Really big hits. And he kind of just like eats them. So I don't know, I feel like I'm leaning towards power type, but if he's a speed type, I wouldn't be really surprised. And that's going to be the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about everything we talked about. Do you think Gear 5 is going to like have all his moves? Do you think he's going to have the Bajrang gun? Do you think they're going to consolidate Gear 4 into being part of the combo moveset? Or do you think we're going to get a chance to do 3 installs and make Luffy even more of a busted character than he already is in Pirate Warriors 4? Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of you. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.